the heads up, okay? But I will at that point say okay and get us kicked off. All right.
I found this new kombucha that's got blue-green algae in it, and I think it's delicious, but everyone else thinks it's repulsive.
Ugh.
I love it. Yeah, it's like deep green. It's like blended grass, but I can't show the camera, or I would, but it's really, I find it really good. Like it a lot. But
really, that doesn't sound good. I got to tell you, but maybe I got to try it to know for sure. So
yeah, well, when most of the other members of its family are highly poisonous to people, so I worry a little bit. But this one's supposed to be beneficial, right?
I know that that I don't service my hot
Believe a
tub
damn thing I say. Is that
no, I was going to say I don't service my hot tub at all, right? So I have a small chance of getting Legionnaire's disease from all the scummy water that's in there. So I just drain it every once in a while.
I had many jobs to put myself through college when I was in West Virginia, and one of them was looking after the college pool. So I can come out and service that hot tub for you. I have the technology.
Perfect. Okay, welcome to Hopeifiers. My name is Alan Friesen. I'm here with brother Scott Sweetman. How
Hi, everyone.
Are you today, Scott?
I'm great.
Excellent.
Unbelievable.
Yes.
I'm going to put a caveat that Amazon's out doing its Christmas deliveries, and I have 2 new puppies. Well, one's a year old. So if in the background suddenly you hear Armageddon unleash in my house, it's merely friendly Amazon delivering something or whatever. So
and then when that happens, the dogs go crazy for
they do. So I'll just speak louder.
Okay.
And in the new year, we'll introduce you to them. It'll be fun.
That sounds lovely. Well, this is episode 3 for our Hope for the Holidays series, Scott. Man, I'm like, you know what? This is like Christmas Day when your wife has done the Christmas shopping and then somebody there opens up the present and you're as surprised about what the present is as they are because you haven't seen it because your wife did all the shopping. So, Scott, what surprises do you have for us today?
Well, first surprise, in my house, I do the Christmas shopping because the women in my house work longer, more established hours than I do. So they all get the surprise, and I'm the one who runs around and gets all the stuff usually. So
good job, buddy. Good job.
Yeah. And I'm sure my daughters plan on carrying on that tradition. So all you young men out there who may be interested in my lovely twins, just be ready to try and fill my shoes. Good luck.
Exactly.
Okay, tonight's topic is a really serious one. And if you followed our show, you'll know that we've been talking about hope in the holidays. And we really, if you haven't, go back because there's some important stuff in there. And it's important because when I was doing the research for our last show, and this show is about keeping your heart full of hope past the holidays, some really stark evidence came up that kind of surprised me. I know when I was growing up, we called this the silly season. There's a lot of suicides and things that happen. People, robberies go up because people think they need, to steal things. I remember I flew into Pittsburgh at Christmas one year, and the hotel put me in an inner room because all the outer rooms had their TVs removed over the Christmas holidays. And the front door staff said it's because people steal them for Christmas presents because they can't afford them. The economy's bad in Pittsburgh, or was at that time. So yeah, headed into silly season, but it's not so silly because in the world, we're talking globally in countries that, research takes place on these things. Depression is second only to anxiety. And it affects such a huge amount of the population. It affects young and old alike. Unfortunately, there's an age group, 12 years old to 17 years old, that really gets hit around the holiday season, Christmas and New Year's. And there is a lot of suicides, and there's a lot of things, that really challenge us to stay hopeful during the holidays. And ignoring that would be unwise, because all of us have people in our family. I guarantee you statistically that either you or someone in your family is going to experience anxiety and depression through this holiday, guaranteed. And so we're talking everyone. We're talking to ourselves And we're talking to everyone here, and this is a really serious thing. And so we should get informed. There's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of good organizations in Lethbridge. Do you want to name a couple, Al, that could help you if you got some questions?
Oh
Sorry to
yeah,
put you on the
I
spot.
mean, Lethbridge Family Services is
Great
great.
people.
Just scads and great resources. Matter of fact, they have a lovely course coming up, starting in the new year, about which we're going to be chatting about January 5th here on 1,000 Ways. Actually, that show, but on there we're going to be chatting about where a show to deal with your trauma, like a process to kind of step you through that, right? Which is really, really important. So Lethbridge Family Services is great. Family Ties is great. The Family Center is great. There's so many. Canadian Mental Health Association, the United Way has a 24/7 211 is the number, 24/7 emergency hotline. If you're feeling anxious, suicidal, if you're use that number. And you know what,
Well,
Scott, just if I can interject one thing too, like the best gift you could give is the gift of your time to offer somebody who might need a little bit of support. And the best gift you can receive is, if you need that help, ask for it. Tell somebody, geez, you know what, buddy, I'm feeling low. Can I chat with you? Right. And accept the help. So be willing to accept the help, be willing to offer the help. I think those are, really beautiful gifts that serve both of us, right? If you can be of value to somebody, you feel really good that you can be of value to them, right? That's life affirming for you as well. So
yeah, and it's not like on TV. You don't have to call up and say, hi, I'm Scott and I'm suffering from depression. I'm thinking of killing myself. Can you help me? If you just want to call and talk, and you don't want to share at that point, you don't have to. There's no pressure on you to confess your feelings or tell them that you're at risk. It's just, it's a cool situation. Just if you think you need some help or you'd like to talk to somebody, do it. Get informed. Even if you don't, guaranteed you or someone in your family will feel it over the holidays and likely is suffering from that ailment throughout the year. So please, we're going to give you some ideas on how to deal with that. Big thing is, though, is don't just say, oh, I've got the winter blues and leave it at that, right? It's like a heart attack. If you got the symptoms of heart attack, go get checked out. Most people die from a preventable heart attack. They say, oh, I'm just tired. They lie down and pass away from a heart attack. And so depression and anxiety are like that, losing hope over the holidays. Don't just say, oh, I'm really tired. It's just the winter blues. There's some really serious things. Seasonal affective disorder, SAD. I use a SAD light. I grew up on a farm. I was used to being outside all the time. Now I work indoors, and I miss that sunlight, and I get low in vitamin D. Another thing to keep up during the holidays. So it can be lots of things. Talk to your daughter or doctor. Talk to your daughter too, but talk to your doctor.
talk to your dog, doctor, daughter, dog, either all three of them would help.
Talk. Start a show and talk to your buddy. That's good. That's what Al and I did. It's good for us. Okay. So like I said, ages 12 to 17 are more prone to depression or anxiety during this period. Other people are people that have suffered physical abuse or trauma, right? A lot of those things attack self-worth and self-esteem during the holidays. There's so many things that present this perfect picture. Al and I've talked about that during our other shows, that a lot of people who don't have that perfect family or that perfect postcard life, because no one does, let's be honest, feel so much worse when they're continually presented with this perfect image. So those people are at risk. People with drug abuse problems or other kind of substance disorders. I know people that fight with alcoholism, and I've had alcoholism affect my family. Everyone wants to spread the Christmas cheer. Alcohol companies are advertising heavily about, how that can make your whole holidays somehow better. Those people are at more risk, or are people, whatever. I'm certainly not separating myself from that. And these things, Al and I are speaking from experience. Al and I have been blessed, but we've also gone through a lot of stuff, and people we loved have gone through a lot of stuff. So when we're talking,
I have done so many stupid ass things that I should have died from or killed other people in the process because it was reckless and just stupid, being young and stupid kind of a thing. So fortunately for me, Serendipity and synchronicity are my favorite companions who have kept me from doing stupid things to myself and other people. Just from thank you for yes.
I figured God assigned two guardian angels to me. One probably wasn't enough. So
Yeah, I'm true. Yes.
okay, and so then also people that have things going on over gender identity or sexual attraction or other issues, love, gender, all of that gets thrown at us at the holidays. So those people, the people with those things are certainly at higher risk. And then people, and this is all of us, right? I include myself in almost all of these categories. People that are really concerned about financial concerns, and that's a big one. Most people overspend during the holidays. We're presented that we need to spend. It's been a really tough year with COVID and everything. So a lot of people are in that situation. Relationships, there's so much pressure on relationships, hard time for relationships, right? And then people that have suffered serious illness or loss, as we've talked about before, life goes on. People, still get dementia and cancer and leukemia and all the things that happen year round. They don't take a break during the holidays. So if those people are at particular risk identified statistically, but we're all at risk, right? So
Yes.
keep that in mind. But if you have
I gotta say, Scott, you're outlining all the concerns. I get that. But my hope is actually dipping just a little bit, buddy. We're gonna get to the up part here, right?
No, and I think it was important to say that because I really, and I know you're the same, we really want people to understand that this is not just something that happens to people who are, live a hard life. This is something that happens to all of us.
Right.
Right.
Well said. None of us are immune. All of us have, especially during this period of time, this is a triggering type time where it could be very emotionally challenging, and reach out for help. Don't, like, this is, everybody's got this. Don't think that you're the only person that's feeling out of sorts or feeling lonely or feeling somehow less than. Nothing wrong with you. You're perfect the way you are right now. But, these times make you kind of question that. So ask for help. Ask for help and give help if you're in a position that you can give help. And maybe it's just a kind word. Maybe it's just sending a text and saying, hey, I was thinking of you. You got time? Give me a call. That kind of a thing, right?
Exactly. So now that we've got everyone on the same page and we're all going to work towards this from one angle or another, let's talk about ways to keep your hope through the holidays. Number one is don't be afraid to switch up your traditions, right? Everyone talks about holiday tradition. And it's really important to people to have a tradition. And often that tradition becomes almost a coping mechanism. It's how we, get through the holidays, family issues or relationship problems. Excuse me. As long as we can hang on to those traditions, we feel like everything is okay. But often what we need to do is let go of those things, especially if you're feeling like it's just not working for you and it's adding more pressure to you, is change them up. Find a new tradition, find something that breaks the mold and gets you out of that situation where you feel more and more pressure. If you're dreading something, there's two ways to approach that, right? Number one is to change it. And that's where, we just create a new tradition. One year we got really busy and didn't have time to get a Christmas tree, which was our tradition, to go out with the twins and pick a Christmas tree. And we took a whole bunch of books and stacked them up in circles until they looked like a Christmas tree, a big cone, and we decorated that. And that was a great tradition that we created on our own. So, Al, have you got any of those sort of traditions that you've created that you?
Not really. I'm like, you know what? I'm trying to be less of a Grinch this year. Most of the time it's like, Christmas, just like bear down and get through it. But I think the world has changed, and I think it's time to be a lot more, slow it down a little bit. Spend the time with people that you love, or maybe love is beyond, just like, even that works as well.
Don't hate, if that's where you got to go there. Right.
Exactly. So have the connection with the people or the furry friends that in your life that are going to help you to feel the attention and the affection and the acceptance that we all deserve. So like
Okay.
whatever relationship you have to do that. And again, that you're going to also be, there's one of the fours I missed. What did I miss there, Scott? I said acceptance, affection, appreciation.
Appreciation. Yeah.
Yeah. And affection. Yeah. So
I
those,
think we got
those four.
affection twice, but you
Yeah.
can't have enough affection. You
No.
can't really.
So I'll
right?
just say that twice. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay. So don't be afraid to switch up tradition. If you're feeling pressure, don't be afraid to say, look, you know what? Let's do something new this year. Let's try this out and make it fit your budget, make it fit your time. You know, don't be afraid. Go out and look on the internet, talk to some friends and say, hey, what do you do in your house? Lots of things out there, right?
Make
Another
up
really
something. Midnight s'mores that you make with a hair dryer. Like, there's a whole bunch of things you could do, right?
Yeah, when young couples invite your friends over, and instead of asking them to bring a present, ask them to bring a inexpensive decoration for your tree or your pile of books or whatever it is you're using at that time, right? Like
Sure.
invent some new, have some fun with it. The second thing that psychologists say is a good idea is fake it till you make it. And this one kind of, when we hear it, we think of negativity, but I know you've been there, Al. I know you have. I've been there. And, you know, you've got an event and you're supposed to get dressed up for it and you have to, you know, give a speech. Have you ever felt like, I just don't have the energy to do this? I just don't want to do it.
It has happened. Yeah.
I believe it has to all of us. And psychologists say that, you know, okay, you don't want to put yourself under a whole bunch of pressure, but you also don't want to use that as an excuse to do nothing. Like sometimes the process of making yourself get dressed up, you know, of combing your hair or washing your hair or whatever, you know, some little step will actually help get you in that mood, right? Like, you know, you and I've talked a lot about research where if you smile, even if you don't feel happy, pretty soon your body provides the, you know, hormones and chemicals and all of those things. And pretty soon you find yourself smiling naturally,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. No, it makes
So
sense.
these are two solutions that you can do. Switch it up or make yourself, you know, go through the motions a bit until, and then once you start to make that transition, don't fight it, right? Go with it. So, third thing, we talked about this before, but it's really important, is don't set unrealistic expectations. And as we head into the holidays, a lot of traditions have New Year's resolutions or, you know, setting up in the new year, I'm going to stop this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do those things. Gym memberships go through the roof. You know, and attendance is really high for the first month and then right back to its ordinary levels because people have a lot of unrealistic expectations of themselves. Yeah,
very much so, and are often are very, very hard on themselves, right? If you want to make an improvement in your life, you want to create more energy, you want to have better relationships, if you want those things, just take little tiny steps towards it and be happy with where you're at right now, that you're perfect the way you are right now. Maybe you're improving, but you're perfect the way you are right now, and you will be forever. We will all be forever perfectly imperfect. None of us is going to get it.
well said.
You know, so anyways, be kind to yourself. Have the compassion that you have for self, then you can have that to give to others if you have it for yourself, right? So be very compassionate, very kind with yourself. Love yourself.
One of the most dangerous things, one of the psychologists I was reading about, I think his name was Moss, he said the most dangerous thing that you can think is that everything would be better if such and such would happen, or if so and so would happen. Because what you're doing is you're displacing all of your success, all of your ability to feel fulfilled or happy or hopeful on an external source. Right? And you often have absolutely no control over anything outside of yourself.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know,
well said.
A more positive thing is I'll feel better if I could, and then set something, like you said, a little thing, something that you can accomplish, right? You know, maybe you don't go out, but you still get up and get dressed, right? Like something that moves you forward is really important, and it'll help fight off the blues and help you keep that hope alive and keep it going. Okay, so the next one, we talk about this almost ad nauseum, is let people know what's going on, you know, and people, we shouldn't be afraid to talk. It's not stigmatized in our culture and society anymore, or it certainly shouldn't be. to say, hey, I need some help with this. Or maybe you don't even need help, just admitting to somebody that, you're feeling down. I should be happy, the kids are home for the holidays or whatever, but I'm having trouble dealing with it. Or more realistically, with COVID and all the restrictions going on, we're not going to see the people we really want to see, or that are an important part of our holidays. So what we have to really do is often just explain to those people and say, I really love you, and I'm sorry we can't get together this year, but we're make that phone call, write them a letter, cut them a little video. Nowadays almost everyone has an opportunity to send a message in one format or another to somebody else. So reach out, let people know what's going on, and don't be afraid to divvy things up. You talk about the tasks, household tasks, and how Corolla takes on the shopping and those kind of things. It's really important that when we find ourselves taking on too much or being given too much, that we let people know. And this is really important after the holidays, because often, it doesn't, in your house, it's not gender based anymore, but it used to be, the husband would go back to work and the wife would be left with cleaning up everything and patching everything up and dealing with the thank yous and all those things.
Even guys, help with the damn dishes. You're out somewhere and you're having a turkey dinner. You've had it. Don't go to retire to the living room or the den with the guys. Say, hey, I want to help with the dishes. Thank you very much for this beautiful meal. I want to help with the dishes.
I think that there's some generational stuff in there too. Like I know a lot of people that I know, my age, a little bit younger. A lot of the roles have changed. And certainly most families, both people work outside of the home now, statistically, in North America. And you really have to divvy those things up. So part of that is communicating and ask. Like maybe you're not the one that feels like you've got too much to do. If you don't feel like you've got too much to do, ask your partner, or ask your loved ones or your friends, hey, how you doing? Or be aware of other people. And part of self-health is being aware of the people around you that make up your universe, right? Like often when people think, oh, I'm really going to get into self-care and self-health this year, and I'm going to focus on making myself better. That doesn't mean blocking off the people around you, because ultimately the world you live in, it's like a goldfish. They'll get just as big as the tank you put them in. And human emotions are a lot like that. They're going to reflect the water you swim in. And so, go ahead.
Scott, I just was going to interject that now it could be that there's some people in your life who would be a detriment to you moving forward with changes that you want to make.
Yeah.
And obviously for you to make it easier for you to make the change you want to make, then you're going to have to kind of put that relationship, at least for a little while, to the side. Would you agree? Like that, if you're trying to do something, you're trying to not drink, as an example, and you got somebody that's your drinking buddy who's very insistent that you should drink because we've always done this together, well, you're probably not going to hang out with him or her for a little while until you get that you feel comfortable with your alcohol consumption, whether that's 1 a day, 10 a day, or none a day kind of a thing, right? So Scott, I don't know if I ever told you this. I used to drink a lot, and mostly tequila. I love tequila. And so actually what happened was, at one point I got a letter from the World Health Organization there, and they said,
Dang, you're depleting the tequila stocks.
Exactly.
Slow down now.
We've checked. You've drank your lifetime supply of tequila. You got to stop this. No, that didn't happen. I'm just making that up. But here's what did happen. I had this thing called osteomyelitis. So it's basically an infection in a bone. And I know when it happened. It happened when I had this really hard landing skydiving with my daughter. That's a whole nother story. But basically, that's where I know it landed or it happened. And so this osteomyelitis, the treatment for it, you get hospitalized and have an IV antibiotic IV for like 2 weeks steady, like just get flooded with IV with
Yeah.
antibiotic, I should say. Or you could take like antibiotics orally, but you had to take like 10 a day, and you had to do it for like you know all about antibiotics. So, anyways, you had to do it for 6 months, take 10 a day, and I was like not
Wow.
taking any pills. And then they said, and if you drink alcohol, it's probably not going to be effective. So I stopped drinking alcohol so that that course of treatment would be effective. And of course, I planned when I stopped drinking or stopped, I thought, well, I'm going to, get back on the tequila train as soon as this is over. But after 6 months, man, I noticed I lost weight. I felt better. Mornings were particularly pleasant. My goodness, no hangover. That's something. That's a nice thing. And my ability to focus and to concentrate was better in a no alcohol type of a thing. And so totally serendipity, never planned it at all, but sister serendipity gave me a little hip check and said, okay, that's it, I'm done with alcohol. And that was just like a very, not my plan, not my conscious plan, but basically something that a change that kind of got bumped into, and it's been a huge benefit in my life, which I never would have thought I would have done. If I didn't have osteomyelitis, I'd still be drinking the same amount that I was then.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so when you say, when you're talking about being around friends that, aren't going through that, of course they're still drinking and, they don't really understand. You can explain it, but it's different than when you're going through it yourself, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, a big deal. And I was going to say one thing that, I learned in management school and from managing is when you have to fire somebody. And the only way to really look at that is if it's not a good fit for your team, there is a team somewhere that they belong on.
Mm-hmm.
And by holding on to them, if they're not a good fit for your team, you're actually interfering with their ability to find the right team for themselves. And so I think the same thing holds true with relationships. And I'm not just talking about, partners, I'm talking about friends, I'm talking about the water we swim in, if you will. Often if we let somebody go, and it doesn't have to be a complete break, or maybe it needs to be a complete break, you have to decide or talk to even a professional about that. But often you're helping that person too, right? Anyone that's in an adverse or a negative relationship, even if they think it's what they need, there's always a better place for them, right? And it may take time to find that place, but we all have a responsibility, and we shouldn't be, that there's a problem if somebody says to you, oh, if this relationship ends, my life is worthless, because that's never true.
Mm-mm.
Ever true, right? There is a time and a place where that person can feel that they have value and that they have worth, and they can bring that into a relationship rather than believing that that relationship is what gives them value or worth. So yeah, don't be afraid of that. Good point, Al. Well done. Okay, another big one here, and this is really, I think, important, and I do it, and I'm guilty of this. Don't play the comparison game, right? Like we all remember, yeah, okay, you and I have been through some trauma, and we work with people that have been through crazy amounts of trauma, and we think that they must really hate the holidays, and sometimes that's true. But our minds and psychology have a really unique survival ability to lock away that pain and to focus on the good things. And often we remember, we talk about the good old days. And, if we look at them objectively, or it's funny if you're talking to a friend and you say, oh, wasn't that a great time? And they're like, no, I don't remember that. I remember that our tent leaked, and I remember, those kind of things. So if you start comparing it to what you remember, it's never going to be as good as, right? Because we remember imperfectly. It's a psychological defense mechanism to try and block out the negative things and to try and amp up the positive things.
So you're saying comparing like that you remember the best ever Christmas 27 years ago, and that's the one you're always comparing every other Christmas to.
Oh, the best Christmas was when my dad was alive and we used to do this, and dad's gone now, so we can never have that great Christmas, and that's from my personal experience. I'm sharing, I'm not judging other people, and so my parents were divorced. We talked about that, and I remember when I got older, and my dad, for his own personal reasons, had to come live with us. We had a couple Christmases that were just amazing because I was an adult and, you know, he was vulnerable, so he needed my help. And it all played into this, in my mind, this wonderful chemistry. But, you know, when I talked to other people, they were like, yeah, but you guys seem like you were still fighting a lot. And, you know, but in my mind, it was perfect. Right. And it's very easy for me to say, oh, well, you know, I'll never have another Christmas with dad again. And that's not really true, because I can bring him into my celebration. I can bring him into what I'm doing. And when you start comparing things, especially if you're in a couple, right?
That's a really good point, Scott. And you know, you're talking about comparing about your best past Christmas, right? And that's an easy thing to find a better one given our current circumstances,
Oh,
right? It's easy to find a better Christmas than this was could be, but just this is going to be, I know for sure this is going to be the best 2021 Christmas you've ever experienced, because it's the first one and the only one you'll ever experience. So make it as good as you can get it with, be creative, find a way to kind of make it work for you. That's basically what you do. Because the other part about the comparing is not comparing it with other people, not scrolling through the Facebook feed and say, oh my, they're in Maui and look at blah, 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 and what's happening. Whatever your reality is, just try and be present in it and enjoy each moment of it. Each breath and beat that you still get to enjoy, do that with people that you love, and do things that you love as much as you can during this season,
and carry that through, right? And that's and carry that through. Don't stop doing that, you know, when the holidays end. And that's what we're talking about too. And you know, I know the university just announced that there's going to be 2 weeks of online classes. All classes are going to be online for 2 weeks. And of course, the twins are both in university, and in different amounts, that was upsetting to them. And so they were really excited, you know, of course, Christmas, and then back to university, and they love university. And then they get this announcement in an email that says, oh, well, you know, you're not going back to class for 2 weeks, and then we're going to assess. And, you know, part of going to university is the social interaction and being around people and the stimulation of that. And so, you know, I've tried to encourage them not to compare and to set themselves up for the, you know, to say ahead of time, oh, this is going to be great. You know, we're going to go back to school, because suddenly that may change. Right. And that's about managing your expectations. And we've talked about that a lot, but I think we'll move on from that one, but it's a big one. Right. And don't get caught in the trap in relationships of comparing your family to the other, your partners or your family, you know, saying that'll just get bad really quick. You know, oh, we do it this way, or, oh, I have to have this for Christmas. Be flexible and realize, like you said, this is the one and only 2021 Christmas. Enjoy it for what it is. And when it's done, enjoy the memory of it, and allow yourself to keep the good parts and move forward, realizing that the imperfect parts just made it unique, right? Made it special.
Well said, Scott. Well said.
Okay. So another thing that we need to do, and this we've been talking a lot about mental ways to keep hope after the holidays. There's some really physical things that you need to deal with. And a lot of us concentrate so much on the physical during the holidays. We want to wear that special dress. We want to wear that special suit. So we want to lose some weight. We don't want to eat too much. We don't want to smoke too much. We don't want to drink so much. And, you know, we set ourselves up to do all of these things, but we really need to just make sure that the bases are covered, right? Get enough rest. Usually we drive ourselves too hard during the holidays. And even though we may lay around after a big turkey dinner, if that's what we do, we still have gone through a lot physically and mentally, and our bodies need time to rest and to heal. And part of keeping the happiness of the holidays alive is not to finish them exhausted and broken, right? Get enough rest, especially if you're traveling. A lot of people don't travel well. We think travel is, oh, it's easy. You know, we jump in a car and drive 400 kilometers, or get on not so much anymore, but on an airplane or whatever. And we think that's a normal thing. It's not for the human body. Our bodies were not designed for that kind of rapid change in time and environment and those things. So make sure you do get enough rest. Make sure that you don't change your rest routine too much, so that you get it back to what it was that you need to sleep. So how about you, Al? Do you sleep all right? Do you have any sleep issues?
I sleep well. Yes. Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah. I probably have like 8 hours, I say. So
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. As you know, I'm an insomniac, so I almost never sleep, but
Yes.
that's my thing.
Last night I didn't. Last night I was in a little bit of a creative mode. I was thinking a
Oh,
bit. So I'm going to start writing some songs, Scott.
excellent.
I'm making
Excellent.
notes. I'm making
Excellent.
little lyric notes, so I'm going to write some songs. So
Yeah, I know for a fact you're a good writer, and I'm saddened when you're not writing, because I think that's a skill that you need to explore and do more in.
thank
But
you.
to do all those things, you need to get enough rest. You need
Yes.
to watch what you eat, and this isn't about not getting fat, right? You need to watch what you eat in terms of your health. Digestive problems go off the scale, right? I was looking through, and a lot of GPs and doctors talk about the stomach problems people have after the holidays. And it's not just about eating too much, it's what you eat. Too many sweets, too much alcohol, too many things that aren't good for us. A digestive system, or what's generally termed gut health, really takes a nosedive during the holidays, right? It goes out the window.
Yeah.
And gut health is,
Microbiome, your microbiome loves diversity, right? Loves like a whole rainbow of colors in your diet, right? And that's what keeps that your microbiome, which has basically it's like a brain in your gut, right? Is your microbiome. And it's comparable in terms of your brain that you have in your skull, right? It's quite amazing the things that it regulates and what it can do. And so, speaking of that, Scott, this is a good time to kind of reevaluate maybe what choices you make. Maybe if you see somebody that you say, hey man, this person, this woman's got, look at the energy this woman has. What the heck's she doing in her life, kind of thing. Ask, right? We all have different things that we have learned along the way. Maybe Scott knows something that would be of value to me in terms of choosing another life. All I have to do is be interested, curious
yeah.
about what he knows that I don't know. Collectively, we know everything, right? That's the reality of it. We're all connected. We know all the answers to everything. So everybody we meet has something to share with us that we don't know. That's the reality of it. So
On that topic, and I really want to share this with people because it's made a huge difference in my life.
let's hear it.
When 2 years ago, I had surgery. Surgery seemed to go okay, but then I got a huge infection and my wound opened up, and it was like 16 inches long, and it was a nightmare. Like it was, and I'm still battling that. But when I was in the university hospital in the critical care ward, there was a team. One of them is a neurologist, and the other one's an endocrinologist, I think. Two ladies that I never met. They only met me when I was unconscious, and I've never met them in person. They order tests for me down here, and I go get the tests, and then they call me up and tell me what they want me to do. And so they've decided that when I was in coma in Japan, that my pituitary gland was damaged. And they were the first ones that sort of came up with that. And so they've been going through this process of, I say slowly, but it's really not that slowly, of sort of testing each thing the pituitary gland is supposed to do and see if it's going on in my body. And recently they put me on, and I don't know what it is, and excuse me for not knowing if it's a steroid or an enzyme or something, but it's a chemical that's supposed to be produced jointly in your brain and your stomach that affects the health of your stomach. And it communicates a lot of information from your stomach to your brain. And whatever happened to me stopped that communication from working effectively. And so they put me on these injections, and I do it myself. But boy, what a difference it's made. I used to have an upset stomach all the time. I used to have a lot of stomach pain and trouble, and almost all of that inside of a month has cleared right up, and things are working more normally. I feel much better, and it's just one of those little things. I communicated to them, and they moved that to that I was having problems with my stomach, a lot of pain, a lot of discomfort for no particular reason, and so they did a bunch of tests. So don't be afraid to talk to a professional, and don't accept the answer of one professional, because I have been going to specialists for 10 years, and I found the right team of doctors, and they just clued into what it was, and they made a huge difference in my physiology. So there, we think of our health, and we don't often think about the bacteria and things that are going on in our stomach. We just think, am I fat or thin, right? It's really important. So look it up.
The numbers are roughly this: 70 billion neurons that we have as humans, 70 billion neurons, and something like 70 trillion cells. And then on the order of 10, 700 trillion bacteria, fungi, parasite, viruses, all these different things. And you'd say, oh, well, that's horrible. You got these other things, but they all work in concert when your body's talking to each other, right? When your mind and your body's communicating with each other, when your mind and your gut are working together, all of them work together to do these, millions of functions every second, right? That happens in our body. It's incredible. Like just the process that goes through. I mean, we're aware of, you're aware of your breath. And if you're really focused, you're aware of your heartbeat, and the rest of these millions of things just keep functioning. Your body, your blood just keeps flowing. It's incredible what just the human body that we get to inhabit and what it can do. It's incredible, right? Now, when it goes awry, it's sad and it's unfortunate. And how do you get that connection back again? And for Scott, it's been a really, really long journey, right? So, but
one full of hope too, right? Like
one full of hope. Yeah.
And that's the one thing I want to share. And, it takes some time. And I've learned that sometimes I have to wait 10 years. But, what these doctors have done is amazing. They have completely changed how my body works, and it's working much more normally again. And I feel so much better, fighting this infection thing and incision. But otherwise, and I think there's really good advice in what you said. So color, I know in Japan, I think it's 16. They consider a proper meal has 16 different dishes. Okay, they're small, but like you said, there's green ones, orange ones, red root, there's sea fish, there's a little bit of meat, there's a little bit of that. And the more colors, and not artificial food colors, but the more naturally colored food that you can eat in your diet is important. Fermented food is a big one. Modern Western diets, and I don't know if beer counts, but I wouldn't put it in there.
Sauerkraut and kombucha are two good sources.
Kimchi. Lots of traditional diets have fermented foods. Look it up online. We're not going to, go over the whole list here, but watch what you eat in terms of your health. Don't just focus on your weight. Gut health really helps you stay positive. Your gut is your second brain. I like the way you said that, Al. It's important.
And you know what? Really, your health, like I agree, Scott, it's not, don't step on the scale and that's a measure of health. It means nothing. What is a measure of your health is that you can do the things that you want to do, right? You can do the activities you want to do. Really, that's a measure of health. You can be there for the people that you love to help them, right? You have the energy and the vitality to make the difference you want to make with your clients in your community, right?
And that brings us right into the next one that we want to talk about, and that's exercise. And so many people exercise to get a body image, right? And fair enough, you can dismiss what I say because I'm a big what did my doctor say? He said, no, what did he say? Not stout, thick. Anyway, he had a great word. I forget what he said. But it's not about body image. It's if it is for you, that's okay. But Al just said the key. Exercise is to ensure that you can do the things you want to do. And, as we get older, we're really forced to realize that our bodies how we look is one thing. But if we don't take care of our physical condition, we get blocked from doing the things we want to do and the things we love to do. Okay. And physical exercise is a natural combatant. And I know, Al, you're a big proponent and a researcher on these. What does your brain do when it exercises? What kind of things does it release for us to help us deal with anxiety and depression?
All kinds of good endogenous opioids, like some dopamine and serotonin. And like your body can release for you all kinds of beautiful beautiful naturally chemicals that elevate your mood, that elevate your energy, that center you, that help you be more connected into this moment, right? And all you treat your body a little nice, and your body and your body releases this flood for you of beautiful life affirming fluids. I'm going to call them, because some are neurotransmitter. There's a whole,
It's complicated. Yeah.
it's complicated, but feel
It's
good,
simple too,
feel
right?
good fluids that your body knows what to give you, right?
Yeah.
So yes, yes.
And they don't have, when they happen naturally, usually there's not bad effects to it. I mean, there,
No,
if your
no
body,
side effects and no overdose and no, it's just basically how we're
no
built. We're
guilt.
built that if we do these things, this is the result we're going to get, right? So
Yeah. So
yeah.
keep that exercise up. Don't pause during the holidays, and don't make it like, don't say, oh, in the new year, I'm going to lose 60 pounds. Like, make it realistic, make it part of your daily routine, make it part of your health, gut health, and your eating. Really think about exercise in terms of allowing you to do the things that make you happy. Use exercise as the medicine that helps improve your mood, that helps you deal with anxiety and stress and so many things. So when you think about it that way, it really helps you keep that hope alive throughout the year, not just during the holidays.
And try and find, of course, an exercise program that you can that you enjoy doing, that you want to do, right? I tried for a while to be a runner, and I am not a runner. Running was painful and just like, oh, it hurt a lot. Like, I just did not like it. And I know there's a runner's high you get somewhere, but
Yeah.
it just like, all it was for me was pain. So then I started using an elliptical machine. So I didn't have the pounding on my joint. Elliptical machine was huge value. Loved it. Did it for years. Then I started doing qigong, and qigong, beautiful, gentle, graceful movements, right, where you very much get connected to your body. It's very wonderful. So love qigong. But then, as of late, I just started doing dancing. I just dance in the morning. What I do, put on the old wee much music or whatever, dance, or whatever it's called, and I dance some songs. And I am just having so much fun with that. And what I did, I noted that I wasn't doing some of the moves because it was painful, as i.e. you go down with the knee, right? Go onto a knee sort of a thing, right? Or you jump. And I wasn't doing those because it was painful. And so I started doing them, and it's getting less and less painful. And I'm recovering more and more movement with my knee, where I can go down on and get up easily. It's getting easier to do that. So I think I was saying, oh, my knee's pooched, so I'm not going to use it. Well, in reality, my knee needed to be used in order to restore whatever functionality it has. I mean, it's beat up. It's got nothing left in it. So, but it still works pretty much pain-free. And if the more I work it, the more it seems to like it and recover. So, yeah.
And again, don't be afraid to get help. We're lucky in Lethbridge. We've got a lot of great, the university teaches kinesiology and has a great program there.
And there's so many great like health coaches and fitness coaches that can kind of
physiologists, clinics.
Yes. I met that Bill Morgan from the Lethbridge Fitness on 13th Street a while back. Really very, knows what he's doing, cares about people and them getting healthy, that kind of thing. He's not the only one. There's a whole bunch of people that do that.
I noticed two on the west side here driving around day before yesterday, two physio or physical, not gyms, but physical therapy businesses. So it's not something you have to do in yourself, but it is something you have to do, and make it about staying able and being able to do the things you love doing for a very long time.
And not that there's anything wrong with you right now. You're perfect. You're fine just the way you are right now. This is if, let's say you want to have 2% more energy, 2% more focus, 2% more ability to move and do other things in your life that you are important for you. That's valid. That's a good reason to work on that improvement. Nothing wrong with you now. Fine and improving.
Yeah,
All
that's true. But I think people need to realize, and this is something that I'm going through middle age, is that as we get older, many things become easier. We're wiser. Our insurance is cheaper. All of those kind of things. But some things get harder. right? And we need to put more effort into our health. We need to put more thought into the things we do. We need to we need to be kinder to ourselves, right? So we are perfect the way we are, but we also have to be realistic that the challenges that we face shift throughout our wheel of time, right?
Oh, that's valid point. I mean, you could not, when you and I were 18 years old, we would drink like a lot. We would eat
Days in a row. Yeah.
burgers and French fries and eat and drink alcohol lots. Like, and then at some point your body says, "Ooh, I hate this," and you're treating me like crap, and I'm
I'm gonna get even. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
anyways, you get a little smarter as you get older and start improving on some things that are detrimental to you. And yes,
I think the big thing we're saying here, and we're both saying the same thing, is don't make it that, oh, I have to do this massive thing. Make it, I'm going to change small things that make a big difference down the road to me, and make it part of your.
I get to change this, and the result is going to be way better down the road, right? I don't have to. I get to make this choice, and it's going to make my life better, right?
Just don't get trapped into that mental language of, if only I did this, everything would be better, because nothing will make everything better. Nothing will.
No.
Right? But every little thing, be aware of that. And that's on my list. And I know we're running out of time here, so I want to get these two things in for us to talk about, because it's really important, is that we need to understand that nothing is ever perfect. That's a big one. Okay. Not to try and compare everything to a fictitious time when everything was perfect, because if A is true, things are never perfect, then we can never compare things to a time where everything was perfect. And three, that we need to know that everything passes, right? Both bad and good. We are in a constant state of transition. And when we accept that, we are much more hopeful. We're not, sitting and waiting for the other shoe to drop. We're not resenting the things that are occurring. We're born, we age, eventually we leave this place in this form. Whatever people believe happens after that is their own choice, but not many people believe that we live forever in this form, in this place. So know that the feelings will pass. Know that you can't hold on to a positive feeling forever, and you don't want to. You want to create new ones, and that's really how you want to focus. Is don't try and lock yourself away and say, I don't want anything to ever change ever. I want everything to stay the same, because it won't. You'll change. The people around you will change. When I was a young man, I know that my grandfather always used to say to me, he said that men enter into a marriage saying, I hope she never changes. And women enter into a marriage says, yeah, I can change him. I can make him better. And, in some ways that's really true. And I think that all people, but it's very true in men, we don't like things to change. We like, often we're really stuck on, oh, I don't ever want this to change. Things have to change. Seasons change. People change. We change. So just know that everything is in transition, and good things will pass. And the way to be okay with that is to know that they can exist inside of yourself, and no one can take that away from you, but you can create new good things every moment you're alive. And sometimes you have to really focus on a minute detail, like the way the hospital sheet feels. It's wonderfully clean. It feels crisp against my skin. I might be in horrible pain. I might be facing, the end of my time here, but you can always find joy and happiness if you look for it. And knowing that makes us stronger.
And finding that joy and happiness, Scott, is it in the past or is it in the future?
No, it's right then, right now.
Right now. That's it. That's the only time that we have it, right? And we have that opportunity every second, every breath, every heartbeat to embrace this moment that we have, because that's all we truly do have, right?
Yeah. And that's the thing about the negative feelings. They will pass too, because as you said, they are in the past, and we can't change them. We can only change how we feel about them or how we deal with them in the present.
Right. Well
So
said. Well said. That I'm yet to read her book, but that Dr. Bolte Taylor talks about every emotion has a cycle, and it's 23 seconds or something like, so this is how long it lasts. So if you feel this rage, you wait out 23 seconds. Now it's gone unless you perpetuate it again, unless you start the process again, right? So staying present, having that experience, and enjoying this moment to the best of your ability is how you can have bliss now, right now.
exactly. And there's proof in that a lot of survival techniques, things they teach, people that are in extreme situations, harm's way, Coast Guard, the military, people that maybe, lots of people die because they don't believe the pain will end. And if you're in deep water, for example, and you go underwater, you need to stay calm and realize that you will float to the surface. If you panic and breathe in a bunch of water, you're going to drown, right? But if you can still yourself and calm yourself for those few seconds to allow buoyancy to kick in, you will float to the top, right? And so in so many opportunities, and if you look at, you can do a whole bunch of reading if you're one of those people that really likes to stay in the physical world. Look at how much knowing that something will pass and just repeating that to yourself and letting it pass could save your life physically. And it could save your emotional and mental state as well, knowing that right now I'm experiencing this pain, but it will pass.
You know what? Can I just add in one thing too on the same thing about, you're in pain. Here's a good, as you know, I'm an instructor for the firearm safety course. One of the examples I use is about, because most of the suicides in Canada, or pardon me, most of the deaths related to firearms are 80% suicides. And so what an example that does happen, Timmy takes dad's truck, rolls dad's truck, knows dad's going to be upset about that, goes home, guns and ammo are easy to get. And so in that moment, in that instant of all of the trauma and the drama and the concern and all of that, he goes and puts a cartridge in the chamber and presses the trigger, right? And so very, very sad. But again, it's kind of like knowing, if you could know that that's going to pass. And in this case, having the trigger locks and the ammo locked up separately is just giving that person some time to be able to reevaluate and think about that and realize that suicide is often a permanent solution to a temporary problem, right? And we certainly don't want that. So yeah,
we can say it's always a permanent solution to a temporary problem, because everything, as you said, we live in the present. We don't live in the past. We don't exist in the past. We don't exist in the future. We only exist at this moment. So, it could be gun, it could be pills, it could be any of those things. The thing to realize is that however severe the pain you're experiencing right now, whether it's mental, physical, whether it's imagined, whether it's, that you believe it's going to come, whether you're whatever state you're in, know that it will pass. Accept that in the same way that you accept that great feelings are going to pass, because time moves forward, or we move forward. Something moves us from past to present always.
We might be triggering some people with our conversation. So again, 211 is the number for the United Way man 24/7. Dial 211. You talk to a professional who can guide you if you're feeling a little concerned about the conversation we've had.
Exactly.
Scott, what do we wish? Do you have something else to?
Last thing, and
Yes.
it ties in perfectly with what you said.
Let's hear it.
If you're in trouble, if you're feeling like you just can't hang on to hope, get some help.
Yeah.
And don't be ashamed of that. Don't even concern yourself with it. Just do it. Because at the end of all this, everything I read, everyone from professionals to, anti-suggestion columns, is if you really feel like you can't, and I use really not in a judgment sense, but if you've gotten to the point that, you're just like, yeah, that's great, but I can't deal with any of that, get some help. And that's what we're telling everyone is, ultimately, we're just throwing this out there to try and help people think about what they can do to stay hopeful and happy and healthy. And Al and I don't ever pretend that we're health professionals. And the great part about it is, in our society, there are health professionals out there that are more than happy to help you, that are not going to judge you, that are available for free. They're available right now. So if you need help, it's there right now in this moment.
Well said. And again, as we've talked about, be very, very readily accept help right now. Readily give help. This is the best presents we can give each other, is that we will accept help if we need it, and if we're in a position where we can be of help, then we will then be of help. That's the best present you can give, the best present you can get right now.
Sorry, I'll go ahead.
I was just going to say, you know what? If you need somebody to talk to, here's my cell number, 587-220-8840. 587-220-8840. Scott, what else do we have to wrap up here?
I was just going to say that one of my favorite stories, and I'm a Christian, I was raised in the Christian tradition, is the part of the Christmas story that I absolutely love the best is where the inn is full, but the innkeeper lets Mary and Joseph stay in the manger. And I think that message of being open and giving, and exactly as you said, if you need help, be open to getting it. And if you can give help, be open to giving it. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't, even though your motel or hotel may be full, maybe there's a space somewhere that you can fit somebody in. And don't be afraid to be creative. For me, the Christmas miracle is really about staying open and giving and sharing, and not prejudging what that's going to look like, and being open to all kinds of giving and caring.
That is beautifully said, Scott A. Sweetman. Okay,
well,
brother Scott,
you,
you know what? It is a joy of my life to be able to hang out with you and have these conversations, my friend. So I'm looking forward to a 2022 where we're gonna bring more hope. We're gonna in our subtle, friendly way encourage people to have better lives and encourage them to be more joyous and more connected to other people and more connected to themselves, and just have the full human experience.
Alan, I promise you that 2022 will be like no year ever.
I'm sure you're going to be right with that one.
We can promise you that we're all going to have a year that will be like no other. And so much of what we take away from that will depend on our willingness to be flexible, to be open to sharing, and really keeping hope alive. So our message, our final of the 3 series tonight, and I think I speak for both of us, is keep that hope alive. And if you can't, email us, phone us, or email or phone a professional. 211, as Al said. Did I get that right? Yeah.
211. Yep.
Reach out if you need help, and if you have help to give. So many organizations this time of year are really looking for help. No one should be without help or have help available they're not sharing. So let's do it, people. Let's do it together. Let's spread the hope around, stay alive, and stay hopeful.
Stay healthy. All right. Get them at